So I do usually write much shorter material, but I'm going to read a sliced and diced excerpt from a short story called Ghost in This House, which is set in Iowa City. The protagonist, just so you have a little background, is named Miriam, and she was a sophomore at the University of Iowa when she plummeted to her death down the basement stairs, the victim of an unfortunate laundry incident. So her spirit is now trapped in the apartment where she was living at the time of her death. And this excerpt covers about 4 months within the story and begins when Ethan, who is a new-to-town graduate student and the next resident of the apartment, moves in, and you will also meet his girlfriend, Celia, along the way. Ethan seemed the sweetest and definitely the cutest of all the boys who looked at the house. There were girls too, but I chased them away by blowing on the backs of their necks. I tried to hide their purses when they weren't looking, but I could never pick up the straps. My hands, which looked like holograms, weren't solid enough and passed right through. When Ethan showed up though and looked out through the empty rooms, I draped myself on a built-in bookcase, tried to stretch all sexy along the floor. Even though he never saw me, I pretended he did, that he just glanced my way when the landlord wasn't looking and whispered, "Hey, wait for me, and I'll be right back with all my stuff." But when Ethan moved in, some girl helped him carry his boxes, and we all know girls don't carry boxes unless they really like the guy. Sure enough, when the move was done, the other friends who helped him move finished their post-work pizza and left. She stayed and laid her head down into his lap to close her eyes for a few minutes. I couldn't deal. I blew in her ear. "Ethan, quit that," she said. "I'm white." "Quit what?" he said, tilting his head up off the back of the sofa. "Blowing on my ear." I didn't. "You know what," she said, sitting up. "I'm too tired to deal with games right now. Let's set up the bed so we can go to sleep." If I'd still had an elbow to draw in triumphantly, I would have. "Yes," I would have said under my breath. There are others out there, and I can talk to them. I discovered this when I glided past Ethan's telephone the day after his line started working. I heard whispers as I passed by, whispers that hissed as much as my own voice to what's left of my own ears. I curled the wisps of me around the phone, wrapping myself tightly to it. The voices grew louder and clearer, and I could hear snippets of conversation. Hid the keys, and he was so pissed. Yeah, if I could just pick up a DVD, I'd be so frickin' set. And then the cat figured out I was there. I tried to become one with the phone until I finally felt like I could say something too. "Hello, my name is Miriam." The voices stopped. "Hello, Miriam," one of them said. "Where are you in Iowa City?" "How did you know I was here?" "We're all here somewhere," said the voice. "We can only call each other locally. No long distance available once we've passed to the other side." That was how I learned the phone lines were like a chat room for the spirit population. They gather there to connect beyond the walls and windows that trap them. It was even better than all the hours I spent on the phone with my friends when I was living. "It's so lonely here after all the lifeguards go home," said Julie, who haunted the Mercer Aquatic Center. Her leg had cramped after she went off the diving board one day, and the guard on duty was looking the other direction long enough that he never noticed her sink to the bottom of the pool. "I just wander back and forth in front of the windows, looking out toward Highway 6, wishing I could get out there and get in one of those cars driving past. I wouldn't care where they were going. Anywhere would be better than here." "Can you swim at all?" I asked her. "Kind of, although it doesn't feel any different than being in the air," Julie replied. "I can't really displace the water, so I just float there, on top, stuck between the two mediums." "At least you can see lots of different people though," I said. "I love Ethan, but I'd like to see someone else besides him and, well, what's her name?" "You love him?" said a male voice. "I wouldn't spend too much time thinking about love anymore. You probably shouldn't have thought about it much before you died either. It didn't get you very far." "That's kind of shitty," I said. "Yeah," Julie said. "Who are you to take away the little bit of joy she has?" "Name's Monroe," he said. "I'm over at the city jail." "Were you a guard?" I asked. "If I'd been a guard, I sure as hell wouldn't have died here." While Celia was in the bathroom one night, I wrapped my arms around Ethan's neck and put my feet on top of his so, as he walked, it would feel like he was carrying me around a dance floor. My ex-boyfriend and I used to do that together back when I was alive, and it always made me laugh so hard I thought I'd wet my pants. The sensation of my feet moving under somebody else's control felt so strange, it was hilarious. Almost as soon as I touched Ethan though, he started to shiver. rubbing his biceps with his opposite hands. "You're right," he yelled through the bathroom door. "It is cold in here." The door swung open. "It's creepy cold, too, not just temperature cold," Celia said. "What do you know about this house?" I released his neck and retreated as fast as I could to a corner. I crouched down, clasping my knees to my chest, trying to make my area of cold influence as small as possible. "I don't know," Celia said. "It just reminds me of things I've read about haunted houses, strange cold spots, that kind of thing." Ethan laughed. "You're ridiculous. Ghosts? Nobody believes in ghosts anymore." A high wail escaped me before I could stop it. They couldn't hear it. Well, at least not according to Monroe. But that didn't mean I wanted to lose it in front of them. If nobody believed in me, that meant I wasn't even there. I tried to teach myself how to read books. That meant me being able to move solid objects, something Monroe told me is very hard to do. It would be so much easier if there were a ghost school, even when we could attend my correspondence course, then I wouldn't have to rely on Monroe and everyone else for all this sketchy information. I would have given anything back then to have a coach, someone who could show me how to do things so I didn't have to learn them all for myself. It was like stories I'd read, back when I was alive, about people going to rehab after accidents and having to learn how to walk or talk or use a spoon again. At times like this, when I just wanted to read something, it just really sucked. I spent most mornings talking to my new friends, and then I'd practice moving things. One day, I actually got an empty beer bottle on the counter to tilt back and forth slightly. I was concentrating so hard I couldn't remember exactly how I did it, and this is the kind of stuff that was highly annoying. "But you weren't good at life when you were born," Monroe said over the crackling phone line. "You've got to get just as good at death." One night, I floated into the kitchen to see what was going on. The two of them were reaching across the table around their empty dinner plates, fingers intertwined. Ethan lifted out of the chair enough to reach across and brush a piece of hair off Celia's forehead, and I burned. It wasn't fair that she had this. It wasn't fair that she could spend time with this boy who was so cute and just kept to himself and didn't cheat and didn't do anything other than study and read and hang out with her from what I've seen since he moved in. It didn't seem fair that she could have all this life, have it right in front of her, and probably not even know the difference. I launched what was left of my foot toward her hip. "Ow," she said. "It felt like something kicked me." She rubbed where my foot had landed. Ethan shook his head. "Enough with this crap," he said. "I'm tired of hearing about this weird stuff. No one is here besides us." She pushed back from the table without speaking, but her eyes said it all. She cleared the table quickly, banging the dishes in the sink, turning on the water too fast. I danced around the kitchen like I was back at One-Eyed Jake's, the colored lights flashing while the DJ mixed one song into the next. Finally, I'd made someone feel me. Thank you.